One thing I've kind of figured out, in the time that I've been doing this, and it's not a long time, it's 3 years, but I've taken the time to try to piece my testing protocol together so that it is a logical progression from the moment that you make the handshake to the moment that you write up the order. And I'm sure everybody tries to do that to some degree. One of the biggest headaches that I've had to deal with in one form or another is a complete and total lack of professionalism from some folks, mostly competition, when it comes to properly testing the people, that you're supposed to be helping. A lot of times you'll just have somebody just do an air and bone conduction test and, try and sell a set of hearing aids off of that. And, it's, you're only using a part of the puzzle to try to solve a problem. The really good thing about testing is that if you do it correctly and you derive or you do a correct assessment from the information that's provided you, you can fit them successfully with a very low return rate. And of course, that's what all our objectives are. So, first thing is, before I get into the protocol itself, I think a lot of people, when they're presenting a hearing aid to a prospective client, and a lot of times these are the people that are shortcutting. They try to paint it as what I call, car sale. Everybody in here that knows me knows I used to sell cars. And, car sales kind of thing where, you're selling the sizzle, you're really trying to play up, what makes your car so great, what makes it fast, what's going to make you look good and all that type of thing. Hearing aids are not that kind of sale. Basically, you're selling, a service or an idea. Nobody's, going to put a set of rims on a hearing aid, at least not that I've seen yet. So, that being the case, the way that you present the test results and the way that you show them what the hearing aid will do for them, and then the expectations that you set for those people will either make you successful or the kind of guy that gets a lot of returns, which sucks. So, first thing about the testing itself, of course, if you look up there on the chart, is the air conduction test. Okay, and that's I know we got some new folks in here, so I'll go over it briefly. If anybody has some questions, they can ask myself or one of the other people who've been doing it a while. But the air conduction test, the purpose of it is to try to test what the limits of a person's loss are. That's the number one thing. So when you start your test, you always start at 1,000 hertz. That's pretty much an industry standard. Whether you're using Sandlin or you're using the intro to audiology text, that's where most people start. There's a couple different ways to do it. The way that when we write this up, that I do it, is the way you see up there. So basically, you start your test at 1,000 hertz. You set your audiometer at about 30 decibels. You go ahead and you hit your button. When you give your test signal, if the person doesn't respond, you go up to 50 decibels. Go ahead and hit it again. If they don't respond, you go up 10 decibels. Keep going up 10 decibels till you get a response. When you get a response, you go down 10 decibels. You go ahead and hit it again. If they don't respond, go up 5, down 10, up 5, down 10, up 5. Okay, that's called your ascending, descending test. All right, pretty standard, pretty simple. Like, again, this is stuff that you can pick up in Sandlin and also in the test materials that are provided for you from IHS. So then, after you establish 1,000, you go to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 6,000, and 8,000 hertz. Now, some folks do not test 3 and 6. That's a mistake. Basically, 3,000 hertz is one of your primary hearing frequencies. 6,000 hertz helps to give you a good outline of the type of loss that they have. In other words, if you have a person, for instance, that has a high frequency hearing loss, say from 3 to 8,000 hertz, and you don't test 3, okay, and all you're getting is 4 and 8, you will not get an accurate depiction of the shape of the loss. And that shape can tell you a lot of things. It can tell you, you know, is this person play with guns? Is this person a veteran? Has this person been around loud noise? You know, these are things that you look for that are clues to the problem that you're trying to help with. After you've tested all the way out to 8, you go back to 1,000. That's to verify your original test. And then if you're within 5 decibels one way or the other, then you go down to 500 and 250. Okay. Masking rules. Okay. Masking is one of those things that, you know, a lot of people make it out to be a lot harder than it is, particularly, again, for, you know, our newer folks. The rules that you see up there are, the first 2 are for your air conduction testing. Okay, air conduction of the test ear minus air conduction of the non-test ear must be greater than or equal to 40 decibels in order to mask. Okay, if you're using a TDH 39 headphone or one of the TDH series headphones, or, well, actually that's for the headphones. If it's that or greater, then you are required to mask. If the air conduction of the test ear and the bone conduction of the non-test ear have a difference of 40 decibels, which is usually going to be the case if you have the first problem that you see there, then again, that's a mandatory mask. All right? When you're masking, basically what you're going to do is you take the air conduction score of the opposite ear, okay, and you're going to add 15 decibels to that. That is going to be your starting masking level, okay? And you go ahead and you set it up on your audiometer. You go ahead and wherever, you know, the test ear was stopped at, that's going to be your starting place. So you start there. You start with your air conduction. Well, for instance, we're doing the first one. Your air conduction of the non-test ear plus 15 decibels. Give them a signal. If they give you a positive, then you go ahead and you raise that the masked ear up 5 decibels. Give it to them again. If they go ahead and give you a positive, then you go ahead and raise it up another 5 decibels. 3 passes means that you've properly masked the ear, and then you go ahead and use the appropriate symbol on your audiogram.
Pete, let me back you up right there.
Okay.
When you're putting someone in the booth or putting the headphones on them, what kind of instructions do you give them as far as
Masking?
No. Let's go right back to air. What instruction? How would you instruct the patient on what to listen for and how to respond?
Okay.
On the tone.
Yeah. Well, when you first put the patient in there, yeah, it's very, very important is to give them the proper instructions. Instructions are, you know, usually fairly simple and straightforward. Mr. Smith, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and play some tones for you. The tones are going to be different pitches and different loudness levels. Some are going to be high pitched, some are going to be low, some are going to be loud, some are going to be quiet. These sounds, these pitches that you hear will usually last for about a second. Whenever you hear one, I want you to go ahead and either, you know, depending on how you're set up, either put your hand up or, you know, press the little response button. You understand these instructions? Yes, I do. You know, go on from there.
Now, Ron, Reese, what are you doing while you're telling them that? What are your hands doing? What are you doing? What's the intangible thing you're doing while you're describing what they're supposed to do with that headset when the ears are on?
Well, I'm already putting everything on them and, you know, and getting the button out for
Better
them.
example, the bone conductor. You hold that bone conductor, you're talking to them about what you're going to do. You have your wipes in there, don't you?
Yes,
What are you doing?
cleaning everything off.
Yeah, it's an intangible little thing, guys. I've seen Ron do it a million times, and it almost sounds silly to bring it up, but he has a ritual. His ritual is he washes his hands before he even does the VO in front of them, and he makes sure they know that he's washed his hands, as we talked about earlier. But then also, if you got headset, doing that wipe, getting that wipe off, and while you're going through what Peter did, he's cleaning it right in front of him. Same with the bone conductor, cleaning it. it's one of those things that we mention, it's like, really? But those things make a difference, because you're forming impressions in their mind while you're doing that.
And people do notice. When you were in the office in Jackson, I don't know if you remember, probably a year ago, a gentleman came in that was seen and actually purchased in a Beltone about 40 miles from us. And he'd called and asked us if we could take care of him. And when he came in, you know, we didn't talk a lot about the experience that he'd had there, but he proceeded to tell Jason that one of the problems that he had was the office that he'd come from he didn't feel it was clean, and that the dispenser dropped his hearing aid on the floor, picked it up, and put it in his ear. So people look at whether or not you're washing your hands, are you cleaning your equipment, are you cleaning your otoscope? They're actually looking at those things.
They do, that's right. Okay.
Okay, now, once you've completed the air test,
Right.
what instruction would you give to the patient to transition them into bone conduction?
Well, let me finish this
Okay.
first, and then we'll go that, break that. Okay, now this is something to keep in mind. You know, some folks prefer the earphones, some prefer the inserts. The advantage of using the inserts are that